This episode is brought to you by State Farm. From your morning podcast to your afternoon playlist, State Farm knows you personalize your entire day, and that's why State Farm helps you personalize your insurance with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It offers coverage options that help protect what you care about most at an affordable price just for you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
In sports, the scoreboard doesn't tell the full story, but Netflix does. Stories about dads who happen to be world-class quarterbacks and a battle for the heart, soul, and direction of the multi-billion-dollar business of F1. Whether you're a diehard fan or you're brand new, Netflix has the stories for every type of fan. You can watch these incredible sports stories like Quarterback, F1 Drive to Survive, Untold, and many more now on Netflix.
Apple Card is the credit card created by Apple. You earn 3% daily cash back up front when you use it to buy a new iPhone 15, AirPods, or any products at Apple. And you can automatically grow your daily cash at 4.15% annual percentage yield when you open a high-yield savings account. Apply for Apple Card in the Wallet app on iPhone. Apple Card subject to credit approval. Savings is available to Apple Card owners subject to eligibility. Savings accounts by Goldman Sachs Bank USA, member FDIC. Terms apply.
Hello and welcome to a new podcast, The Paddock and the Pavilion with Stephen Wallace. In each show, Stephen will interview someone connected to the world of horse racing or cricket.
Hello everyone. As a follow-up to my podcast on Roy Rocket with his trainer John Berry, I am today pleased to be with his most regular jockey, John Egan. How are you today, John?
Very good, Stephen. Thank you. And yourself?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. Now, we're recording this on Monday, the bank holiday Monday, and you're just back from a cold, wet and windy Bath. Very
wet and windy today there it was. Not really May weather, you know. It's surreal, really, you know. Very cold and windy there, and hopefully the weather picks up soon now. We'll get a little bit of summer.
Well, you should be feeling okay because you're a over 50-year-old jockey, and they seem to be the best jockeys at the moment, having won the 1,000 guineas and the 2,000 guineas. Well,
they're the most experienced anyway, and they seem to be doing the business at the minute with Frankie 50 and Franny Norton had a Group 2 winner the other day, and then Kevin Manning 54 rode the Guineas winner. So you know it's brilliant.
Fantastic. So you've got years to go yet then.
Please God.
Well, let's get on to our podcast today about Roy Rocket. To start with, what were your thoughts when you heard the sad news that Roy had died?
Well, I was devastated. I got a message from Emma. Emma let me know, John's wife, and I didn't speak to John for a couple of days. I didn't get hold of him. Obviously, he was very upset after Roy passed, and you know, Roy was like a member of the family, really, for everybody, I think. And you know, he was a great little racehorse, and look at he achieved plenty, and he'll be fondly remembered by everybody, and hopefully one day they'll put up a little statue in memory of him in Brighton, where he just loved to race, and he liked to go to the seaside this summer, and we were very much looking forward to him going there this year. John and myself were so delighted when we heard Brighton was reopening, and we said Roy would be delighted as well. So, but anyway, that's life, you know.
Well, you first rode Roy at Kempton in January 2015. He was a 5-year-old. It was his 14th race, and you came a close 4th. What do you remember about the first day you rode him in a race?
Yeah, I remember riding him finishing 4th the first time on him, and he ran a nice race, and I felt sure that he would definitely win in races. So I didn't think that he'd win as many as he did, but I think he won 9 of his 60 races, I'm sure, if I'm correct, and all of them wins coming at Brighton, which he really, really loved racing there. He excelled at Brighton. But he was a bit of a character as well. You know, he had his little kinks, but he was a lovely horse. He was a lovely horse.
Well, Roy's first win at Brighton came on the 21st of April 2015. And he won there again 7 days later, both with you in the saddle. What do you remember about those first 2 wins at Brighton?
I remember he was a horse that pulled quite hard, and we always thought that he was better just settling in behind and sitting last. And I was surprised. I was surprised actually that how you could sit out the back so far on him. And the main thing was that they went enough pace for him. Really, if they went a true pace over 1.25 miles, and that's what really suited him. But I remember him at the start as well. He had a little tendency to, when you'd be just sitting there on him, and next minute he'd put his head down and he'd nearly pull you out over the saddle. And he caught me on a number of occasions. And I think actually he did pull somebody off one day. I don't know who it was. I can't remember. And I actually forgot to tell them to be careful. And another thing he used to do, he had to load late because he'd climb up in the stalls and he'd put his hoof out over the front of the starting stalls if you let him. And he just had little kinks, and he'd his own little way. You know, he was a character.
Well, you must have got to know him well because you rode him 25 times and you rode 6 of his 9 wins at Brighton. Why did he like Brighton so much?
I don't know. I don't know. I think maybe at Brighton it suited him the way the race used to run. They'd go a nice gallop, and you know, he'd just pick up going up that hill, pull him to the outside, and off he'd go. You know, just some horses that track suits, and obviously he was one of the horses that it suited, and you know, he just excelled there. And I'm sure if he was around this year, he'd have won lots more races there. But unfortunately, we won't have him this year, and very, very unfortunate for everybody. And the ladies that owned it, I used to look forward to meeting them at the races. They were great girls, and you know, the one thing they always said to me going out, they never worried about winning. They always used to say, just make sure bring Roy back safe. That was all they ever cared about, was bring back Roy safe. That was it. So,
that's nice to hear.
Very sad for them. They loved the horse, and everybody in Brighton used to love the horse. I mean, he became kind of like a little pop star, didn't he?
Well, that's exactly my next question. I was going to say, what was it like riding him at Brighton? He was like a celebrity there, wasn't he?
Yeah, it's brilliant. He'd be waving at everybody coming in, and whether you won or lost on Roy, everybody would clap Roy all the time. You know, well done coming in. Even when you got beat, it didn't. You know, everybody just loved Roy, and he was a great little character. And as you say, that I really got to know him well. I knew every little bit of kink in his armour, and you know, but there was no harm in him, and he was just a lovely horse. And he loved John's home where he lived with him, and you know, John knew him in and out, and he was more like having a pet and a friend around the place, I'd say, for John, than actually a racehorse. And he'd meet you on the road and he'd say, "Oh, Roy's in next week," and you know, chat. And everybody in Newmarket knew Roy because John rode Roy out every day, and you'd see him going around the town on him, and happy horse, happy trainer, and we missed actually seeing both of them going around the town, to be honest with you, Stephen. We used to call into the yard there to see Roy, and Roy he could be just opening the door to let him out, and he'd go out, he'd know his way out into the paddock, and he'd go out. Roy nearly let himself in and out wherever he wanted to go in the yard. He was like a human nearly, you know?
And when you get to ride a horse that often, you must really know the horse really well.
You do, and it's a massive help to when you do know each other well. And obviously he knew me well, and I knew him well, and we had a little thing going, and that was great, and it worked, and we got plenty of wins out of it. And you know, as I say, it's just unfortunate and terrible what happened, you know. But the good thing, that the horse didn't suffer. John said that, you know, he died almost instant, you know.
Yeah, John said to me on the other podcast that I'm going to put out that he almost let John get off the horse before he actually sort of collapsed. Yeah,
John told me that, actually. John said that he knew when he kind of saved him to get off, and then he just died. But no, very, very sad indeed. And as I said, I didn't manage to speak to John for a few days because I knew how cut up he would be. over the horse, and so. But I obviously I've spoken to him since, and these things happen, unfortunately. But we've got good memories to hang on to, which is the main thing, isn't it?
It certainly is, yeah. And I read somewhere that it said that you used to sing to Roy Rocket. Is that right or not?
Yeah. Always sing to him. There's a lot of horses out there, to be honest, believe it or not, that they do like you singing to. And I rode one the other day for Simon Dow in Goodwood, and the girl actually leading me up, he was a little bit tricky, and she just said to me, "It likes to be sang to." And I said, "I sing to a few of them, actually." And so there are horses that like to be sung to, and they're like people. They're all different.
And as you say, it would be nice if Brighton Racecourse could commemorate Roy in some way as well.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if they didn't, because there was actually people that went to Brighton just to see Roy Rocket, believe it or not, just to see Roy Rocket. And I think it'd be very fitting to have some memory of him in Brighton, that he loved so well, and the people loved him, and it would be great for us to go to Brighton and be able to see it, and he'd still live on in everybody's memory. It would be nice.
Well, it must have been a great for you to be a part of the Roy Rocket career. Thank you very much for joining me on the Paddock and the Pavilion, and hopefully I'll be able to get you on the podcast to talk about John Egan again one day.
No problem, Stephen. Anytime. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to The Paddock and the Pavilion. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and now on Instagram at The Pad and Pav. Don't forget, if you like the show, please do leave us a rating and review.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
We all know a guy who only occasionally shaves for big occasions, and it's because that occasional shave really hurts. It's the time of year for big occasions, and yet there he is, suffering with that cheap drugstore razor. Let's help him out. Henson Shaving's line of razors, built with aerospace precision, deliver a smooth shave your dad, brother, and even son can enjoy, eventually. With replacement blades just 10 cents each, you'll buy it once, and they'll use it for life. How's that for the perfect gift? Celebrate with 100 free blades on your first purchase, and no subscription headaches. HensonShaving.com/holiday.